My people, how's everybody doing today? As usual, make sure you hit that like button down there. That'd be really awesome of you. And if you do, you'll automatically be entered to win yourself a half a pack of Post-it notes. Also, as usual, make sure you check out DNK Knives.com. They are who is responsible for this knife, among many others. And if you do purchase a knife at DNK, you can use this coupon code and get yourself 10% off of your order. I do not make any money off that. That is just a thing we do. Make sure you check that out. Make sure you subscribe. We're going to do some giveaways soon, very soon, on Patreon and on the regular channel. And speaking of Patreon, I want to thank my patrons very much. They are an extraordinary help to the channel. There's a link for Patreon in the description if you would like to support the channel in that way. It would be greatly appreciated. There is 3 tiers in there, starting out at $3. $3 is the price of a really shitty beer, so it is quite affordable. All right, what we got here? Oh, another titanium frame lock that's too expensive. This is the QSP Rhino. This is an N390, typical to this price range. 3.25-inch blade. Mokutai, backspacer and clip. And it is $360 currently at DNK Knives. And I've seen them up to $400, but DNK has got them much cheaper. Now, if you was wanting to get this knife at DNK, it would be $360, and then you would subtract that 10% off, save yourself 36 bucks. So maybe it'd be way more worth it to you. As usual, we're going to go through the pros and cons here. I do like this knife, so just letting you know that before we get into this. But there's things about every knife that I'm not going to like. But there's a few things about this knife that I don't like. But overall, as far as a cutting tool, I do like it. One sec. It's morning. I'm still drinking my coffee. All right. First and foremost, in the pros, it punches above its weight class. And what I mean by that is it feels a little bigger and beefier than it actually is. You know, you hear 3.25-inch blade. That's a small knife in most metrics, in my opinion, and in a lot of guys' opinion. It's going to be a small knife. But it carries a little bigger, beefier. It's not heavy. Real quick, let's get the weight out of the way. G unit here. It weighs 4.2 ounces. Not too shabby for a slab side titanium frame lock. All right, next thing. Action and detent is excellent. It is brand new, so it's not, it'll just smooth out over time. The detent feels great for the finger flick using the Fuller. Not so great with the flipper, but we will get to that in a minute. Next thing, access to the lock bar is perfect. It is higher than the show side, and it's just made really well for disengagement, and I appreciate that. You can see the milling there makes it comfortable when disengagement, and even with your index finger. Next thing, it has a crazy bananas thin and slicey hollow ground blade, and I cannot stress that enough, how thin this is. and it is excellent, excellent. It did come sharp, not really sharp, but let's, quote unquote sharp out of the box. But even if this knife was dull, it would still slice, and that is because of how good this thin geometry is. Let me wipe this blade off now, since I got my dick beater fingerprints all over it. And speaking of that fuller, that is a nice touch, that fuller. It looks like it's bead blasted in this fuller. It does allow you to do the slow roll, the finger flick, and you could probably thumb flick it too. I'm just not going to try it because I don't want to fling it across the room. What else we got here? Oh yeah, the file work. So we have it on the top of the blade here, and it is also on this Mokutai backspacer. I think it's cool. It has absolutely zero function whatsoever, but it looks cool as hell, and I like it. It's a little out of place on this knife, but looks cool. And it's just a nice touch, that QSP did there. Just trying to be a little different, I believe. And it's okay. It's probably not everybody's flavor, but I think it's alright. Next thing, carries very well. So, in your pocket, this clip looks like it's not very deep carry, but it kind of is. It's not complete deep carry, but you're only going to get about this much sticking out of your pocket, and that's stellar. That's great. So it carries very well. At 4.2 ounces, it is not too heavy for carry. I'm gonna sit that down because I have people messaging me telling me that me flicking the knife open and moving it around real fast makes them dizzy. And that's a true story. Absolutely true. So I'm going to sit down for a minute. So all in all, we got T8 hardware all around, even on the pocket clip and the lock bar insert. So those are the pros. I'm sure there's... I do like this finish also on this bronze. It's probably going to be hard to pick. There we go. I like that finish. It looks pretty good. It's a little different than most bronze finishes that I've seen. Here's the one on my Hinderer, which this is battle bronze, so it'll be a little different, but looks pretty good. I like it. All right, let's go to the cons real quick so this video isn't 200 million minutes long. The Mokutai clip and backspacer. They look cool, but I think it's out of place on this knife. And it just makes it more expensive than it should be. To me, the Mokutai belongs on a knife that's going to be a full dress showpiece. And in my opinion, this has no business being a showpiece because of how useful this damn blade is. How well it was ground. The geometry is perfect. I just don't think the Mokutai is a good touch on this knife. Now, if they made a Damasteel version of this with a Mokutai pivot collar, backspacer, clip, dressed it up and had a full dress version of this knife, that would be a different story. And I think it's out of place on this knife, and it just makes it way more expensive than it should be. And the next con I'm going to talk about is how expensive it is. $360, and that's the cheapest I found this, and that is at DNK Knives. But I've seen it slightly above $400, which is ridiculous for this knife or, frankly, any other mass-produced Chinese knife. And I'm believing that's because of this Mokutai, because typically QSP does a really good job with their price points. This is just, it's just overpriced. It's too much. Next thing, flipper tab sucks in every way. It is light switch only. To me, I cannot push button. Oh, if you push button it, take a chance on failing it with this stupid front flipper tab that is what I'm going to talk about next. So anyway, the flipper tab sucks. It's too short, and it's just not, I don't know how to explain it. So put it together however you want to. I don't like it. And the Rhino horn. This was, in my opinion, I believe, supposed to be a front flipper tab. It is not possible. Maybe it's just on this particular one, but the filing doesn't go all the way down. It's too smooth. They should have put jimping like this on there if that was to be a flipper tab. I honestly don't even know if that's a front flipper tab or if that's just something that they put on there just for shits and giggles, because it is not hitting an internal stop. So I don't see why it's there. There you go. See? No internal stop, not hitting anything. You can't use it as a front flipper. So why is it there? I don't know. We'll have to call unsolved mysteries on that one. Then we got some grind issues. I know I said the grind was awesome, but it can have an awesome grind and still have some issues. Let me wipe the blade off here a little bit. So your plunge goes all the way back to the handle. So that does a couple things. That gives you use of your entire blade, which is part of the reason why I said it punches over its weight class. But you come into issues here where this plunge comes all the way back. Your edge comes all the way back to the plunge. It has a smile right from the factory, which is a no-no. And for two, you are not going to be able to sharpen this very many times, if at all the way back here, because you're going to be all up in that plunge grind. And see the smile on this side? That's right out of the gate. So that's an issue. You're going to get into a point here where you're not going to be able to sharpen back here. So if this was my knife, I would just put a sharpening choil, a very small sharpening choil right here on this end, and just sharpen as normal. But you're going to come into a lot of issues here when sharpening. See that? That is that's awful. They should have brought the plunge up a little farther. Just a millimeter would have helped avoid this issue. So that is quite, that's a bad thing. It's not a deal breaker, but for $400 it kind of is. Now you could put a sharpening choil in there, or just don't sharpen all the way back. Just stop about a millimeter ahead of this, and then it's not that big of a deal. But just wanted to show you that is a thing. In conclusion, like I said, I like the knife. I like where they went with this design. I could have did without the mocha tie. That just made it more expensive than it should be. Get rid of the Rhino's horn, because that's dumb. You know, actually, you could grind that off and it would have zero ill effect on the knife. That's all I got for you guys today. I'm sorry I haven't been around the past few days. I've been working a ton, dealing with my truck that keeps breaking. So I do have tons of knives for content, so I'm going to pump out a ton of them this weekend for you guys. Again, thank my patrons. I appreciate you guys. Be looking out for giveaways, and make sure you subscribed. We are right at 728, I believe. I'd like to get up to 1,000 before the end of March. Help me out on that. I'll see you guys later.